Welcome back to the South Stands, a Buckeye football podcast by Ohio State fans for Ohio State fans from the West Coast. I'm your host, Zach Moore. Today is Thursday, September 7th, 2023, and I'm very happy to be joined once again by fellow South Stands contributor Paige Van Horn from Denver. PBH, how's it going, my friend?
It's going well, buddy. Nothing better than a Thursday afternoon talking a little Buckeye football with a Heineken. Can't beat that, right?
I love
right,
it.
Sloaner? Sloaner can scowl all he wants if he hears that, but that's the truth.
I love it, man. Good to hear your voice. We're also joined by fellow contributor Chad Plummer from Cleveland. CP, what's the word from the 216?
What's up, guys? How you doing, man?
Good.
Fine, Chad, fine.
You guys have a good Labor Day weekend?
Oh yeah. I was, as you guys know, I was in Bloomington for
right,
Ohio State,
dude.
Indiana. Yeah.
I thought you didn't get to stop by and see Kramer, dude.
I know. Yeah, I wasn't able to make it over for that. It was hot as hell there, man. It was almost 90 degrees at kick, man. I'm soft now. My whole.
Oh, dude. I can choose the battles, man.
I've just, living in San Francisco for the last 30 years in this temperate weather. I mean, God, I get into either extreme cold or hot. I'm such a wimp now.
Did you get to see the vibe though? Like, what I was talking about last week, like the tailgating scene.
Absolutely. I thought I said this on the postgame pod that I did on Sunday. I was impressed with the vibe there. I really liked the vibe. I thought it was a really fun game day vibe there. The stadium was almost at capacity. And one thing that I loved about it was, it was lively and fun, but also easy to kind of just get around. It was easy to get, concessions. It was easy to use the bathroom. And man, like, what a contrast from an Ohio State season opener in the shoe, right? Because you guys know it's a completely, it's just way too competitive even to just get a drink there once the game starts. So I love the vibe.
You're old when like one of your highlights is that it was really easy for you to go take a leak.
Yeah, get concessions.
Guilty as charged. It's important. Access to the bathroom at our age, boys, is important.
It really is. Well, it's because we have to pee like 73 times a day.
Yeah.
I would do it again. I would
Zach's not in any of the pictures, man. He needs it. He needs Flexmo.
I would do it again. I actually loved it. It was, and it wasn't too bad getting there and back. It is about an hour drive from Indy to Bloomington. I actually stayed in the hotel, the Biddle Hotel, in the Student Union. So I was right there in the heart of campus, and their Student Union is beautiful. A lot of the buildings there are beautiful, and the Student Union itself is this gigantic, sprawling old building that goes on forever and ever. It's like the Alhambra. And then I have some friends out here in the Bay Area that went to IU, so I got a few recommendations on places to eat, and so I really enjoyed it. I would totally do it again.
Good.
Yeah, for sure. So we are actually here to have a look back at that game. Number 5, Ohio State's 23-3 win over Indiana last Saturday. And by the way, they are 5 now. Ohio State is in the AP poll. They dropped 2 spots from 3 in this week's AP poll. Now, I recorded a recap pod, as I said, for last week's game last Sunday from Indianapolis. But our listeners have not yet had the opportunity, neither have I, by the way, to get your takes, gentlemen, on how the Buckeyes performed last Saturday in that game. I also have a few new thoughts on the game I'd like to share. Then I thought we'd spend a few minutes on Ohio State's home opener against Youngstown State this coming Saturday. I don't think there's a ton to analyze there. Buckeyes are expected to roll in that game. Finally, there are a couple other games around the country I thought it'd be fun to take a look at before we wrap things up today. But first, let's start with Ohio State's 23-3 win over Indiana last Saturday. It was a 20-point road win over a Big Ten opponent in a season opener. I mean, everything went great, right, fellas? Ohio State fans must be ecstatic. The PVH, I want to start with you. We can talk about the defense because, but things went mostly smooth on that side of the ball. So we'll shelve that for a minute. I want to start with this. What did you think of how Ryan Day handled the quarterback rotation in this game, and what were your impressions of both Kyle McCord and Devin Brown?
Well, you can't have an impression of Devin Brown. He was in for, 5 total snaps?
6 snaps, yeah. Fair point.
He didn't throw the ball.
Yeah.
So that to me is, how could you make any conclusions? I thought McCord was good, fine, right? Yeah. Kind of what you would expect. And, I think we all, it's funny, like being a fan, like we just expect them to pick up where they left off last season. Not realistic. reminiscent of CJ Stroud's first game 2 years ago at Minnesota, which I think at halftime we were actually losing that game.
That's right, we were.
So, there's going to be growing pains. And, is it on some level disappointing from an offensive perspective? Sure. But I don't think it's, looking back on it, is it shocking by any stretch of the imagination? No way. Like, we should have expected this. I think, it was interesting, after the game, I was like, oh man, that new clock rule really played a factor.
Yeah.
Actually, it didn't. I've read a few things. Like, I think they ran 67 plays, which is the same amount of plays on average that they ran last year. So
That's right.
Was weird.
That's right.
McCord, I thought, under the circumstances, did, good. I wouldn't say great.
Yeah.
He had some really nice passes. He missed some stuff. I think not even so much from a passing perspective, but maybe check down, on a few plays where if he just, let it develop for another second or two, there might've been a bigger play there.
Yep.
That's to be expected.
Yeah.
So, to me, the two interesting things are the running back situation and the offensive line situation. And I remember back when they got that kid Simmons in the transfer portal, and Debbie Downer Zach very immediately pulled up his PFF grade. And he's like, I don't know if I'd be so excited about this guy. He barely played for San Diego State, and I think there might be an issue there. So, time will tell. I've listened to and read to the guys on Bucknuts and, Landis and Doug, it's like, oh yeah, that was just atrocious, just missed assignments here and there. And I'm like, didn't they practice for 20? Is this the first time they practiced together? I'm not sure. And then how does that tail into our boy Trey and Chip? So
yeah, hold that thought, PBH. I want to get to the running game real quick.
Overall impression of the game.
Excellent. Hold that thought. We are going to dive into the running backs. I want to, before we do that though, I want to get Chad's impressions of both how Ryan Day handled the quarterback rotation and what you thought of both McCord and Brown. Chad, what did you think of the quarterback's play in that game?
Well, Paige made, he alluded to something that exactly, Ohio State fans just they're so annoying. I can't even really read half the shit. I'm just I can't believe I'm reading this again. It's you go back and they talk about.
You mean yourself with CJ Stroud 2 years ago? Is that who you're referring to?
Right. Yeah. Right. Hey, dude, I'll tell you what, I'll save that for my, my, at the end of the pod thoughts as we all get our little time there. But because I talk about my boy Quinn. But so I mean, CJ, he said CJ had one of the worst games. Awful. I think McCord played well.
Yep.
I mean, he
did play well.
20 of 33. 20 of 33 for 239 yards. Now he didn't throw a touchdown and one interception. So solid output.
Well, he should have had a touchdown.
Yeah, he should have. You're right.
Called that Harrison PD. I think that was 7. But yep. He had a couple rush passes. I mean, here, look, he's got an offensive line that they've changed around a couple positions. Yeah, and that at least the first half, that O line, they got it together a little bit in the second half.
Yep, they did.
I mean, he's got that. It's his first game. It's just, and days, obviously these people drive me crazy, Zach. They're oh my God, this offense is terrible. We got the best receiver. He's got a new offensive line, pretty much, coupled with new positions, got a new quarterback. Let's just ease into this game. We're not worried about would we'd like to go out and light it up with 53 points? Yeah, but Day knows what he's doing. I'm a Day I'm a Day guy. Does he piss me the fuck off sometime with a couple of the plays that he when Devin Brown came in the game? Mm-hmm. I mean, who didn't know that he was going to run the fucking ball? Really? I mean, seriously, was it a loss for
3 yards? Yeah. Yeah, I don't think the play was blocked very well though either in Day's defense. But you're right. Yeah,
I get it. But yeah, you're right. There was failed assignments, but I feel like the offensive line came. They looked more as a unit later in the second half. Yeah, the second half, if you will. So I was happy with that.
Okay, so
good.
we're kind of all in agreement with McCord's
it's
performance.
McCord's team to lose.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. What do you think, PBH? From what you saw on Saturday, is this McCord's team, or do you think we're going to see some kind of a competition here going forward? And Chad, I want to ask the same question of you after PBH answers.
I don't know.
I do, but I think to draw a conclusion off of that game isn't a fair shake for Brown.
That's true.
Like, how could it be, right? Like,
Right.
he didn't get an opportunity. Now, maybe the game dictated it. And yes. So to answer your question, yes. But let's see, what happens against Youngstown State. And if he gets a good opportunity, maybe that changes. I still think, right, it's a 3-game sort of, scrimmage, if you will, to really make sure. But yeah, I think Chad put it back a good. It's McCord's to lose for sure, but maybe
Right.
Brown can take it.
Okay, interesting. How about you, CP? Did what we saw on Saturday? Did you conclude coming out of the game that it was really McCord's team, or what were your feelings on that?
I mean, it's like to Paige's point, like it's really, you can't really like gauge anything of Brown's play. You know what I mean? He came in a couple plays,
6 snaps,
and the defense knew the goal, like there was a missed assignment, so he just like, all right, the 33 number pisses me off, but I mean,
I was just going to say that it's hard to
terrible,
take him serious.
dude.
Yeah.
I can't even.
Right.
Yeah,
It's weird.
It's honoring some like
Sammy Baugh. It's Sammy Baugh. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Dude,
I don't know
it
who
doesn't
Sammy
work.
Baugh is.
It doesn't work.
I don't like that at all, but that has nothing to do with that. I mean, if the kid's good, whatever, but it is McCord's team. And I feel like, once this offensive line starts gelling and, I know we're going to get to the running backs, but yeah, I think he's going to get more and more comfortable. Man, there's a reason the kid was a 5-star quarterback coming out of the cop. You know what I mean?
Right.
He just got like Stroud, came in and hit his stride, man. And sorry, dude, but you know why I like it? Because the kid stuck around, dude. He could have gotten the went and probably starting anywhere right now. At least a majority of the Power 5, schools. But I think he's once he gets a few games into it, man, I think he's gonna be a nice little general on that field, man. I think he is.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's funny. I thought there'd be a little more disagreement between the three of us on the quarterback situation and how Ryan Day handled the rotation and how everybody played. But I think I'm sensing that we're all kind of in agreement that there was a general overreaction from fans and from some of the beat writers about how Ryan Day handled it. I mean, a lot of fans were bent out of shape that Brown didn't get more snaps. And you had some of the guys on the Ohio State beat saying, Day totally mismanaged the quarterback rotation. There was a piece on Land Grant Holy Land that was circulating, and they were very critical of Ryan Day. And they're like, he promised us that, Devin Brown was going to play numerous snaps, and he totally mismanaged it. And I'm like, if you were listening closely to Ryan Day before that game last Tuesday in his press conference, I mean, other than saying McCord would start and Brown would play, he didn't provide a lot of details at all. I mean, he never specified how much either would play. He never said when Brown would enter the game. And I think he was intentionally vague.
Right. And Z, do you really think that Day did his whole thing, this could have been a Brown didn't even even deserve playing time, but this, oh yeah, we're going to see but the everybody reading in the media and listening today, whatever, that's what they get on that shit in their head, Brown's supposed to be a special kid. Yeah. Why is he not playing? He's just, it's just people are just way over the line.
Well, right. I mean, first of all, they're closed practices, and even the beat writers, the guys whose opinions we listen to, don't have a lot of detail on this. Nobody really truly knows what the plan actually is, other than Ryan Day, probably Corey Dennis, and Brian Hartline. And, Day is being intentionally vague on purpose. And he was again this week when he talked about playing time for the quarterbacks going into Youngstown State. He said basically the same thing. McCord's going to start. Brown's going to play. Now, Day did say he's hoping to get Brown some more snaps against YSU than Indiana. But what does that mean? 1 more? 10 more? 20 more? Right. Also, it's easy for Day to say that given the opponent. Because even if McCord had won the job outright in fall camp, it would be highly likely Devin Brown is going to see a lot of action in this game.
Right.
So, I personally think, Day has more than one good reason not to go into too much detail publicly about his plan. And if he wants to be tight-lipped about it for now, I mean, that's his prerogative. I mean, his job is doing goddamn football games. It's not to give Bucknuts content for their subscribers.
Right. Yeah, fuck off. Promises.
Yeah. And look, I mean, I'm sorry. I know Ohio State fans want to know, but you're not entitled to know everything there is to know. I mean, look.
Dude.
You know, so he has two.
I agree, Zach.
Sorry.
Exactly, in his play calling. Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, I was going to say one more thing on this. Ryan Day has two major objectives with respect to quarterback. First, obviously, he has to pick the right man for the starting job. But a very close second to that in the transfer portal era is making sure he keeps that room intact and he maintains quality depth at that position. No doubt, I mean, I think we can all agree, there's probably a very large market for Devin Brown's services. I mean, he could transfer out right now and be guaranteed the starting job at like 70, 80 other FBS programs. So if Ryan Day thinks starting McCord, giving him the lion's share of the snaps, but giving Brown a couple series as well is the best way to achieve those two objectives, then I'm all for it. I got no problem with it. Now, of course, I always reserve the right to change my mind in the light of new information. We're going to get some more data points this weekend, but that's how I see it.
21st.
Yeah. So that's how I see it. I just think there was this total overreaction from fans and even some of the guys on the beat about how Ryan Day handled it. I'm like, well, first of all, you don't even know what the fucking plan is. He's never detailed it, nor should he. He's got more than one good reason to keep it, kind of tight-lipped right now. Anyway, sorry, go ahead, CP. You want to say some more on this? Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I kind of did. But you know what? I'm trying to count, think of it's more than like 3 or 4 times my hand, like how many times we've talked about well, maybe he's just not showing the hand. And I'm like, that's,
yes.
And you know what? And he's not, we're going to come out and against Indiana and just throw out our offense. Who knows? Introducing the play calling, everybody was like, oh my God, what's wrong? You know what? We said, it's just, people just chill, man. They're just a bunch of, people who listen to our show. We love you, but come on, everybody needs to chill out a little bit, man.
Those aren't South Stand listeners, Chad.
Our South Stands listeners are educated.
They're very
at McAfee show.
Yes, discerning, discriminating fans that listen to the South Stands. PBH, I want to kick this back to you. Is there anything else you want to say about the quarterback situation?
No, let's just wait and see. Let's watch the next 2 games and then go from there. I thought McCord. I thought Brown might have a shot. I do think what would be freaking hilarious though is if Brown came out in number 12 tomorrow Saturday, just lit it up. Then I'd be on his bandwagon hugely.
Cardell.
Dude, that 33 did throw me. I was it's just
awful, man.
It doesn't feel right. It just doesn't work.
I'm sorry, but who is Sammy Ball?
42
who is
years,
Sammy Ball?
You'll have to look up your history. You can look him up on Wikipedia.
I knew he did it for a reason for some guy.
But yeah, I'll pass. I'm not wasting. Hey, good for him. Whatever, man.
Yeah, listen, man. Ryan Day has earned the benefit of the doubt here. Right? Ryan Day has earned the benefit of the doubt. Quarterback. There are other things to worry about with this fucking team, and it ain't the quarterback, in my opinion, right?
And look what they did, Georgia. They opened that game. Dude, he knows what he's doing, dude. He knows how to call an offense, man. It's just chill it. Jesus.
Go ahead, PBH.
I'll get the year wrong. It might be 2019, but how close were we to having Tate Martell as our quarterback? And he's no, that's not happening. And he went out and got Fields.
Right.
So that to me was the harbinger of this guy, because Urban was all about Tate, 5-star kid, right? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Right.
Sports Illustrated Athlete of the Year, Gatorade. Yeah. He's him and Johnny Manziel won't even hang out with him.
And I totally
he deserves it.
That's the least of our problem or concerns.
I agree with you.
I did see Tate on that Johnny Manziel documentary.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
Yeah, he was in the back. He was way in the back.
All right, PVH, let me kick this back to you. What else did you see from the Ohio State offense that stood out against Indiana?
Chip Trainum looks like our really good running back.
Yep.
And I don't want to go down. I'm going to be positive, Chad guy.
No, we're going to have to go. We're going to have to go down this road. We might as well just do it. Rip the Band-Aid off. We're going to have to go down this road.
Let's do it, because I'll tell you what. If we watch the same game, I'll let you guys speak.
Go ahead,
okay,
PBH.
So I will say this. The one thing my boy Fielding, who I called out, which was actually the second most important position battle. Chad
Place
doesn't even know
kicker.
who I'm referring to at this point.
Oh,
He has
get
no
outta
idea.
here, dude.
Was pretty legit.
He,
right?
dude,
Yeah, he was.
He's solid.
Yeah.
That kid's solid.
And we needed him on Saturday, by the way.
Yeah.
That would have been
First drive.
a hell of a lot closer without him. I'm talking about Chad. I'm not talking about anybody else.
That's what I said. The first drive, dude. Like he kicked
First
the field
drive,
goal.
we scored a touchdown.
Oh, maybe it was the second drive.
Yeah,
But he
you
was
don't
like,
even know who I'm referring to. That's okay.
Fielding's the place kicker. So PVH, what else stood up?
I know who he is.
Let's go with the Chip Trainum take. Come on, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Come on.
Okay, so I preface it this way. Maybe the offensive
place
line
kicker.
got a few things together in the second half.
I think they
and
did.
Maybe they were starting to wear him down a little bit. But that being said, right, like we're now going on year 3. How long are we going to hang our hat on just because a guy had a 5-star, ranking? Are we going to say he's our best running back?
Mm-hmm.
Because what our eyes and even the stats tell us, that is not the case. So I'm going to leave it there.
Yeah, I think there's a real competition at running back now with Chip Trainum in the mix. Trainum comes in. The third possession of the third. Hang on a second, Chad. I'll get it to you. Let me give you my take real quick, and we'll kick it over to you, and you can freestyle about Trey Henderson. I think there's a real competition here. Third possession of the third quarter. Trey gets benched. He does not come back into the game, and you think about the offseason that he had, right? Recovering from an injury, all the buzz around him, and there was a lot of buzz. There was a lot of dust. There was a dust storm around Trey Henderson all off season. It started with rumors of him, wanting to transfer out. Folks in the building didn't believe he was truly hurt. Then he had this great preseason camp, and Ryan Day seemed to talk about him in a separate kind of category from the other running backs. And then he comes in, he has a couple of nice runs, but by the third quarter, he's back to pitter-patter, shucking and jiving at the line of scrimmage and not hitting the whole third possession of the third quarter. Chip Trainum comes in, and suddenly the offensive line looks pretty freaking good. And 7.1 yards per carry for Trainum. I think, now he's the second back, by the way, who's taken carries away from Trey Henderson if we count Mayan Williams last year. So I think there's a real competition here. Now, I think Trey Henderson has a role in this offense. I really do. I'm not saying he should go to the bench permanently. I just don't think it's his RB1. I think he's your third down back. I think you need to get him the ball out of the backfield in the passing game. That's how I think they should use him. So that's my take on it as well. I agree with you, PVH. Okay, Chad, the floor is yours.
Hey man, I'm not gonna beat it. Like it's all good, but I'm not sure if you guys saw the first 10 runs that Trey made.
It wasn't that many.
Like,
it wasn't that many.
Well, he had a couple explosive runs, dude. And the reason he went he didn't go on the bench because of any particular reason. I'm telling you, he's dude, the kid, all the things you were talking about, his preseason, his fall camp, summer camp, this and that. The kid's the number one back, and he will be all year.
Dude,
it's a fact.
Okay, I'm sorry,
dude, and I love the fact I love Chip Trainum, dude. But
That's
whatever, dude. He's Indiana's already worn down in the second half, dude. Mayan comes in, I'm telling you what, he's gonna be the number one RB. When we play Notre Dame, and Mark, you can mark it right now.
So right now, write it
I'll
down.
bet
$100.
$100.
Who has more total carries?
No. Who's the starting RB at the Notre in South Bend? It will be Trey, and that's
all right. I'll bet.
Who finishes the game is the better question, though. Who finishes that game? Because he didn't finish the Indiana game. He better level up, because if you can't finish the game against fucking Indiana, you ain't finishing in South Bend against Notre Dame.
You think that he couldn't finish? That's why it kind of
I think it's a bad look for a guy. I think it's a bad look that he got benched middle of the third quarter and did not return in the game. In a close game. That was a 10-point game when he went to the bench against the conference opponent. He went to the bench mid third quarter, did not return. I can't see how that's a good look for him.
Why put him in? We're playing Indiana, dude. Like and Chip Trainer, you put Mayan in there and just let him like gobble yards, dude.
I didn't realize he did not play a snap in the second half. Is that true?
No, he played the first 2 series of the third quarter and then did not return. And then as soon as Chip Trainum came in with the third series of the third quarter, suddenly the running game started rolling.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not like this 32 homer. Like Chip Trainum, dude. The kid's he can ball.
Yeah.
And it just reminded me there. Like, where was I think he got the ball a couple times, but XJ, Xavier Johnson, where was he? I thought he'd be a little bit more a bigger part of the offense as well.
Yeah, but I think there's a real competition here. I think there's a real competition here, and I don't think we've heard the last of Trainum. And I personally, I think I've seen enough of Travion Henderson as RB1. I think there's a role for him. I really do. This is not the guy that should be getting 15
already after that game.
Yeah.
RB1.
Zach, do you want it on that RB1 bet? We can,
Well, we can hash that out offline. I'm just saying, I personally have seen enough of Henderson.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I like about Trainum, first of all, did you guys see how he was deployed? All over the field. They used him at fullback. Did you see the 2 back sets with Trainum at fullback? So he's basically taken the Mitch Rossi role at fullback. They've used him out of the backfield as a pass catcher as well. One thing I like about Trainum, I think he's sturdier. I think he's got a stronger lower body. I think he can run through contact. I think he's plenty fast enough, and he's plenty shifty enough as well. And then Mayan Williams, he's a little nicked up. I think he'll get healthier. We hope. And then you have, we still have the Dallin Haydens of the world that can contribute as well. And Pryor as well. So we're heading into year 3 with Trey Henderson, which I think is the point that Paige was trying to make. I feel like he is who he is at this point. He doesn't consistently make that first man miss. He does too much pitter patter at the line of scrimmage. He has trouble finding the hole consistently. And I think, Ohio State just needs a guy that's going to be able to find the hole and run north-south every single time. Wow. That's just the way I feel. But only time will tell.
11 minutes ago, we were just talking about we were evaluating McCord and the new.
No, different situation. We've got a lot more data on Trey Henderson than we do Kyle McCord.
The offensive line, the offensive line, dude, that's huge for running back.
Do you have Trey on some NIL deal? Are you his agent? I don't understand this. Unadulterating love you have for this guy.
I'm just telling you, the kids.
There's nothing empirically to back it up. I mean,
oh my God, it's freshman year, dude. He should have been are you kidding me?
I don't even remember.
He was the best back. Oh God, because
dude,
you're
stay in the present.
You're in the pool too often, dude. The water log. Shit.
Be in the now, Chad.
You know what? At the end of the day, I don't give a fuck. I don't care who's the running back. I just want to have a full-on offense, and because I trust Day, I don't care who the running back is at the end of the day.
It's interesting. I was listening to Bill Landis and Doug Maurice, and they're like, they feel like, why even try and run the ball at all? The strength of your offense is with Igbuka and Harrison Jr. and that bevy of receivers. What's the point of trying to establish a running game, and why not just lean on your passing game? I thought it was very, very interesting take by both of them. I don't know.
You know what? I agree with that too.
I feel like once they get the offensive line as a solid unit, then why even maybe a couple short first down, third down conversions. Other than that, just throw the ball. Man. Dude. You got more talent, and it's insane. Well, and Julian Fleming looked pretty damn good, though, dude, boys. He made some nice grabs.
Yeah,
he did.
He did. All right. So, Chad, I want to get some of your other observations about the offense. But before we move off the running game, it hurts my heart. It makes there's something makes me feel, I don't know, there's, it just doesn't feel right saying Ohio State doesn't need to establish some kind of an effective running game. I personally think they do. Maybe I'm in the minority. I understand, the way they've recruited and the strength of their passing game and their receivers, Harrison Jr. and Emeka Egbuka, who, by the way, were criminally underutilized against IU. I mean, you've got to get those guys more than 12 combined targets. It should be up 24 at least for the two of them combined. So, all right, listen, CP, I'm going to kick this back to you. What other observations do you have about the Ohio State offense?
I mean, like the one thing that I'm not worried about is the offense. Obviously, we came out. I knew he was going to call a conservative game. I mean, just all the things we discussed earlier. A couple offensive linemen in new positions. You got a quarterback like he's only made that was I don't know what start that was, but it wasn't in for like very long, and. They're not going to show any offense. I mean, we've discussed the running backs. I mean, I think it's the key to this entire team is the offensive line.
Yeah.
This year, I truly believe that if that unit can get on the same page, and the boy you were alluding to, out of what was it, San Diego State, Paige?
Josh Simmons. Josh Simmons. He's a starting left tackle.
I think he was a little in over his head a little bit, but I think obviously they talk very good things about him, but we'll see. But I think Luke will be on that starting line before the mid.
Oh man, that would not be ideal. Yeah.
Why not?
Well,
why not?
I just the idea of starting a true freshman at left tackle in the Big Ten with the schedule Ohio State's about to play. Oh my God, that worries me.
It's not like it has happened before, man. You just
who was Michael Jordan was the last time Ohio State had to start a true freshman at tackle, and I believe in his case it was right tackle. That should never be the plan at Ohio State ever.
No,
ever.
Of course not. But there could be that special talent, though.
It could be. So let me run some PFF grades by you guys. These are the run blocking grades for Ohio State's starting offensive line. Josh Simmons.
Paige, cheers to that.
So these are the PFF grades for run blocking for the Ohio State starting offensive line. Josh Simmons 50.6, Donovan Jackson 48.6. That was a surprise. Donovan Jackson's. He's by all accounts their most talented offensive lineman. Carson Hintzman, 69.3, not bad. Matthew Jones, right guard, 64, and Josh Fryer, 67.1. Actually, Fryer was graded as champion by the coaching staff. It seems like the right side of the offensive line is going to be okay. I think they feel comfortable with Hintzman, and I think we can expect Donovan Jackson to level up and play better. So it really is just a matter of getting Simmons comfortable at left tackle, and I'm optimistic they can still do that. They were much better, the offensive line was, in pass blocking. Matthew Jones, his pass blocking grade was 86.7. Josh Fryer, 85.3. Donovan Jackson, 74.7. Carson Hintzman, 69.4. Some work to be done by Josh Simmons, 56.5. He didn't really do anything particularly well blocking, but it seems to me like they have four legit starters on the offensive line they feel really comfortable with, starting with Donovan Jackson at left guard, moving right. And it's really just getting Josh Simmons comfortable, and I really, really hope they don't have to turn to a true freshman there. That would not be ideal. PVH, I'm going to kick this back to you. What other observations do you have about the Ohio State offense from Indiana?
Yeah, I mean, the offensive line's an issue. I don't want to even talk about it. And I kind of think, with the weapons that we have, I wouldn't be adverse to saying just freaking air it out, right? And just put McCord back there in the shotgun.
Air raid.
How do you stop them with Stover and Fleming and Tate? And by the way, can we establish what is targeting? I don't even want to talk about it. But that was helmet to helmet on a receiver. How do you not call this stuff? It's so frustrating.
PVH, you're talking about the pass play down inside the IU 5 to Carnell Tate, where he dropped the ball, but the IU defensive back clearly went helmet to helmet. Yeah.
Clearly that guy is going to be a stud. I'm not, we'll see, right? If they'll get it figured out. I mean, obviously Day and Heartline, they know twice as much or 50 times as much as we'll ever know about this established. But you know what? If they can't establish the run, and if the run blocking is that bad, then do throw it 60 times a game.
Yeah.
I don't know how you stop all those guys. I mean, every single one of them is going to be playing on Sundays. Every single one.
Yeah.
All the receivers. Tate, I mean, Christ, you even have Innes in the background. I mean, Ballard can't even get on the goddamn field. It's like, this guy's amazing. He can't even get on the freaking field.
Yeah. Yeah. And CP, you mentioned him. Julian Fleming, he led all receivers in receptions. I thought he did play very well. Fleming did.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, I mean, sorry, go ahead, CP.
No. It's good to see, like, I mean, the kid, like, he hung around at Ohio State, man. I think he's
Totally.
He's gonna
a lot of injuries.
There's multiple people, like, that have, like, said he's going to be, like, he's going to have a role in the NFL.
He will. Did that guy play on Sundays? It's just hard when you're he was the number 1 overall recruit, not just receiver, right?
Yeah, he was.
Juan and I argued about this on Saturday.
And then look at, like, you got JSN, like, out in Seattle, dude. Like, I mean, he was ahead of Cam.
Yeah.
Number 2 player.
Crazy.
So yeah, no, Fleming. My only critique of Fleming is that he completely disappeared down the home stretch of the 2022 season. He had a touchdown catch against Iowa in mid-October, and then we never heard from him again. But hey, man, if we can get a lot of production from him as the third receiver, I'm all for it. It doesn't really matter to me. I do think he's got a tough task holding off Carnell Tate. Carnell Tate is smooth, man. That kid does not look like a freshman.
Seriously, like, draw it up on the playground, right? Like, you have Ibuka on one side, Harrison on the other. You can even put Tate out there, right?
You got Stover, the tight end.
Yeah, and so you got Stover on the line. You just have those guys run post patterns every single play. Fleming and Tate and Stover are running curl routes. Wow. How do you stop that?
Yeah, assuming the pass protection holds up. Yeah.
That? Just get 6 yards, 5 yards, 8 yards, and then when they start to creep up, then we're going over the top with the Ibuka or Harrison. Like, it's not rocket science.
And then you run a draw for like 40 yards.
Yeah, exactly. And then, that would be
you spread them out and run out of a spread formation with 4 receivers, maybe spread them out instead of, Well, I mean, I'm not a smart enough football guy to really, speak intelligently about what they should do there.
Zach, you have a whiteboard behind you right now, dude. Come on.
But listen, Brian Day definitely needs to be more intentional about manufacturing opportunities for Harrison and Ibuka, starting Youngstown State and moving forward, whether that's just creating, easy touches for them and let them do things after the catch. I don't think he was quite as good at that against IU as he has been before. Guys, anything else you want to say about the offense before we have a look at the IU defense and then move on to the Youngstown State preview?
I would ask this. Did he call every play? So we're back to he's calling every play, right? Certainly felt like
who knows? Yeah, who knows? I mean, I don't think there's any way you can tell. And you said this a couple pods ago, PBH. It's really hard to tell who's doing what. It makes sense to me, given the circumstances with the new quarterback, 3 new starters on the offensive line, and a first-time play caller in Brian Hartline, that you would transition this gradually. You're not just going to hand the reins over to Hartline under those circumstances, right, CP?
I agree. Here's the whole thing. I mean, we could talk about this for forever. Could we not?
Yes.
I mean, just go on and on and on and on and on and on and on about it. But I'm trying to be more positive, like, this year, guys.
No, honestly, I think he should, right? Like, with a first-year quarterback.
You transition it slowly, gradually.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I don't think there's any need, and I didn't really, like, game manager, right? Because whatever. Like, if this is what it's going to take to win, to get W's, then I think he should. Mm-hmm. And I just, the vagueness and the ambiguity around it is kind of stupid. Just like, no, I'm going to call the plays this year, and, this is why, and you guys just put it to bed.
Right.
I mean, like, people like that, like those type A, like, personnel, like, I mean, he's probably eating him up every day to give up that shit, even though Hartline may, like, very well be ready to call the plays, But here's the thing where you talked about again earlier too, though. Like, I mean, I think Day, like, really, like, down deep, like, that little, kid on Christmas kind of shit inside him wanted to just light Indiana up like a Christmas tree. But maybe, like, again, maybe he wasn't showing the hand. Maybe the offensive line didn't do what they were supposed to. I don't know. I feel like we've had that in conversation many times. I don't think Day was going to, no matter what, even if our offensive line wanted to just, like, pancake him everything, I don't think he would have just lit it up, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think anything that happened on Saturday was out of the realm of possibility. I was not surprised that, it was an uneven game by Kyle McCord, though there was a lot for him to build on, and there were some nice moments. It did not surprise me at all that the offensive line struggled. It was a road opener against a conference opponent. By the way, a conference opponent that had, 30-some-odd transfers. Very difficult to this game plan for a team that's turned over half their roster.
Yeah, maybe they're pretty good.
Could be. I mean, who knows? I mean, so...
I think it would have been a whole different ballgame had that Harrison touchdown been called back, because that would have been early and would have just been, I think it would have been a whole different outcome.
So, by the way, on that, Ryan Day said today on his radio show that the Big Ten told him that was a mistake by the officiating crew, and that the touchdown should have stood. That Harrison Jr. was pushed out of bounds by the defensive back, and that play should have held up. So I think
my Aunt Carol was so pissed off.
I mean, that was a great throw. He threw that from the far hash. That was a great throw by McCord. He threw that from the far hash,
a nice pass,
all the way over to the far the opposite corner of the end zone. That should have counted, and had it counted, we might have a very different view of his performance. And had Carnell Tate been able to bring in that pass,
thanks, Zach.
Right? So, I personally feel like my personal takeaway is, and I mentioned this on the post-game pod, I think McCord's the guy. I think Ryan Day in the transfer portal era has to keep Devin Brown engaged. He does have to throw him a bone, give him a little playing time. It's just too risky. And I've got no problem if this is how it carries on for a while. With McCord getting the lion's share of the snaps, he starts. Brown gets a series or two here and there to keep him engaged. It makes total sense to me. And I have faith in Ryan Day, as we've already said. All right, boys, let's move over to the defensive side of the ball.
Didn't we already talk about that?
Not yet. Here we go. Only 153 yards of total offense for the Hoosiers. Only 2.89 yards per play. Only 2.2 yards per carry for IU in the run game. The Buckeyes finished with 6 tackles for loss. 1 sack by Hero Kanu, by the way. Interesting guy who did turn in the sack. A lot of buzz around Kanu during the fall camp. Paige, I'm going to kick this over to you. What did you see from the Ohio State defense that stood out?
Dude, they were great. And I posed the question at the end of our last podcast, which it's so funny because our short memories. This defense can carry us the whole way, right? And the other piece is, I would say normally like offenses can improve throughout the year. Defenses, not so much.
Right.
From what I saw from those guys, they were suffocating. Dude, Sonny Styles.
Yeah.
Going to be just long career. They are the DBs played great.
Mm-hmm.
Giving up 3 points, I don't care who you are. That's hard to do in today's college football game.
Yeah.
And, maybe IU wasn't really trying to do it. No, just cover the spread or whatever. Who knows? But, there were games where IU was giving us everything that we could handle on offense compared to our defense. So they played lights out. There's Sunday players all over that team.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm excited for that unit. And you know what? If they have to carry us the whole way, so be it. Who gives a shit? Adjust yourself.
Or maybe they carry us until the offense kind of finds its footing, right? That's possible
or
too.
Even if they don't.
Yeah.
Even if they don't, right? Even if the offense turns out to just be good, right?
Average.
If that's a top 5 defense, that can take you a long way. And there's no reason to think why they should. And we've been talking about this for 5 years. They recruit as well, maybe not quite as well, but I think it's skewed because they get all these 5-star receivers on the offensive side. There is no reason that is not a top 6 defense or even a top 3 defense, and that can take you a hell of a long way in college football.
There was some recruiting misses that they had in the certainly 2018, 2019, and 2020. But then in 2021 and 2022, they started recruiting back to to the standard that we expect.
High level.
And those kids are now juniors and sophomores, and they're starting to make an impact. So I think that's part of what we're seeing here. And what we're seeing is the impact of the transfer portal. That Davis and Igbinosun, boys, I've seen him in person. He is a different kind of athlete. playing cornerback. He's listed at 6'2". I think he's closer to 6'3". Big physical corner, along with Sonny Styles. I'm with you, PBH. Those guys elevate the play of that secondary. More versatility, more speed. I'm very, very bullish on this defense, especially that secondary. All right, CP, I'm going to kick this back to you. What did you see from the Ohio State defense that stood out?
I mean, come on. I just wanted to see, and you know, and I think I made a comment last week about defense. Like, you know, come out and like you know, look good, like as a unit. Let's not like give up, you know, 10, 17, 21 points to some bullshit team. And like, you know, whatever. Indiana, like, you know, it could have been, I don't know, San Diego, like, who cares? We held them to 3 points, man. And they made some plays, dude. And I feel like there's some ballers on that. Tommy Eichenberg, dude, like he had like 6 stick he had, man. With that kid, there's some ballers on there, man. I love the safeties. Proctor played a hell of a game.
Proctor did play a game.
Yes, he did, but it was a Josh Proctor kind of a day. We'll see how Proctor plays against the teams that can actually throw the football.
Right, I'm not ready to like flip the switch
Zach
on Proctor.
Hader, 101.
Dude, Zach, I'm with you, but I'm not ready to you know, turn on the Proctor switch. But you know what? The switch, like, you know, it was on for a couple hours because he looked like he was like the guy that we recruited, who he was supposed to be. He made some nice hits, some like knockdowns. So let's just see some like how that develops there.
Yeah,
like there's some guys down that team. Sawyer looked a little bit better to me. Like he didn't look like he was.
I don't know. Did he play? Did he? I thought that was.
Well, I mean,
I thought it was Devin Brown playing defensive end out there, not Jack Sawyer. I don't know, man. Jack Sawyer. I'm still waiting for that guy to show up.
He will, dude. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
even if it's
so.
like his
I personally rather see Caden Curry starting over Jack Sawyer, to be even. That every time that dude steps on the field, you feel his presence.
Dude.
Well, and he's playing in the Rushman package, by the way. Curry, did you guys notice that? I sent you guys a text from the game.
You did. Yeah,
he was playing on the inside in the Rushman package. Caden Curry was. I thought he played really well. You felt his presence
live via Stadium. I was like,
"That's right, baby."
The motherfucker's texting. He's at the goddamn game. Did you see that Rushman? I was like,
you know what I liked? What I saw to the defense.
Multitasker.
Only
he
5
had a bathroom breaking some popcorn, Paige.
Only 5 missed tackles for the Buckeye defense in that game, and 12 different Ohio State defensive players graded 70 or higher in tackling, according to PFF. So, you know, you're playing a team that is not very dynamic offensively, and you're wondering, well, how do we gauge a good performance by the defense? I think tackling is one way that you can gauge whether you played well or not. That means you're paying attention to details, you're paying attention to fundamentals. Only 5 missed tackles. I can count at least 4 instances where Indiana ball carriers looked like they had the first down on little short crossing routes or jet sweeps or whatever, and they were cut down by Ohio State defensive backs just short of the marker on third down. Igbinosun had a tackle like that. Sonny Styles had a tackle like that. Malik Hartford, boys, remember that name.
Yeah, dude.
By the way, watch out, Josh Proctor, because Malik Hartford's coming for your job, the freshman. He had a play like that where he cut down a speedy IU receiver just short of the marker. So I love that.
He's a legit, like,
yeah.
Not many people are going to throw on that kid.
Yeah, I mean, Igbinosun did have that stupid, pass interference on fourth down, but to me, it was an effort penalty, right? It was a hustle penalty. It was somebody being aggressive. There's a huge difference between that kind of a penalty and a penalty in the secondary where the guy can't find the goddamn football. He's out of position. So he commits the penalty out of desperation to keep giving up a touchdown. I am really, really bullish on this back 7. We know the defensive line is going to be, we know the floor for the defensive line is going to be very good with the potential to be even better than that. And it was just a matter of that back 7, in particular the secondary, getting it together. And I thought, at least from the eye test standpoint, they passed the eye test for sure. Go ahead, CP.
I'm not going to say anything until, we like youngsters, like but after the Notre Dame game, then I'm going to come back and like ask you guys thanks for, giving Jimmy Knowles a little bit of props. The dude knows what he's doing. It's just like he came in like bit off a little bit too much to chew last year. Like you give him like
It's a little too early though.
Games from now,
that's what I said. Give me the Notre Dame game.
To
That's
quote
all
my
I said.
friend
I'm not
Quentin
talking about Indiana.
Let's not start sucking each other's cocks against fucking
I
Indiana.
prefaced by saying,
I know, but
the Notre Dame.
Stop.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy to celebrate the little victories along the way, right? I don't want to sit here with my arms folded saying, no, until he does it against Michigan. I'm going to celebrate the victories along the way. The one thing I liked about the way Knowles coached this game on Saturday is that, Indiana was playing to try and force him to get impatient and send Ohio State on an all-out blitz with their linebackers and safeties and make a mistake.
Right.
And he resisted that impulse. And he didn't go chasing the explosive play, Jim Knowles that is, as he did against Michigan, as he did at times against Georgia. So I give him a ton of credit for not doing that and just sitting back and realizing, look, this offense has no chance of moving the ball against us. We're going to play disciplined football, and I'm not going to take any stupid risks here and give Indiana a couple cheapies.
Yeah, he's not he's not JV, man.
Yeah,
it's not JV. Of course he's not, but it's not that hard when my guys are better than your guys. My guys are better than their guys.
I don't agree.
But let's see when they do it against guys
against matchup opponents. Yeah,
that's what I said. Notre Dame. Let's see.
It'll start with Notre Dame. Well, you know what? It might even start earlier than that against Western Kentucky because that team can actually chuck it around, and they have a good quarterback and actually a really good receiver. They're going to see a lot better quarterbacks during the regular season. Ohio State is than they did last year. So there'll be more tests along the way. But I think we do celebrate the wins and the victories along the way. Let's not, let's enjoy the season.
My whole point to that was like they didn't score. That shit Indiana team didn't score 10, 17, 21 points against us. You know what I mean? Like they held them
I get
3
it.
points. I'm going to grand marshal the parade for that one for a couple hours.
All right, good. All right, PBH, I'm going to kick this back to you. Anything else on defense you want to talk about before we move on?
Not really.
No. Okay. How about you, CP? Anything else you want to say about the Ohio State defense before we look at Youngstown State? Did we lose him? Did he go refill his drink?
Pass.
You're going to pass? You're passing. Okay, great. All right, then let's have a look at Ohio State's Week 2 opponent, the Youngstown State Penguins of the Missouri Valley Football Conference. That's right, Jim Tressel. Buckeyes doing, Ohio State doing Jim Tressel a solid. They're going to write him a big check, fund his athletic department for the next couple years. This game, I apologize for this.
Athletic director.
What's that?
The next Gene Smith at Ohio State University.
Oh, really? You think he's going to leave as president?
For sure. I think so.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, that's a podcast for another day. Now, look, this game is a noon Eastern kick on Big Ten Network. Sorry about that, PBH. Noon Eastern kick. You're going to watch this one on YouTube on Sunday, I think. It's weird, though. Most of the sports books do not publish betting lines for FCS games until game day. But FanDuel has the line for this game at Ohio State minus 41.5. They do not yet have an over-under for this game, FanDuel. Now, Youngstown State is the first FCS opponent that on the Ohio State schedule since 2013. The Buckeyes and Penguins have met on the gridiron only twice before, in 2007 and 2008. Ohio State won both games, of course, 38-6 in 2007, 43-0 in 2008. Now, the Penguins beat Valparaiso 52-10 in their season opener last Saturday and come into this game 1-0. PVH, before we get into our Concernometer scores and score predictions, give me a couple thoughts on this game.
None. I don't have any thoughts. Like this, they're like playing Canton McKinley. It's got to be that would be an easier W. Just they're going to play a lot of different guys.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
they're going to play Devin Brown, number 33 at quarterback.
Yeah, they're going to play. 33.
I mean, that's what. He'll be in the whole second half.
All right, Chad. How about you? Any thoughts before we get into our score predictions on this game?
No, I'm just going to let you roll with the thoughts, Z.
Okay, great. So my only thoughts on this: play to your standard, Ohio State. Don't play to your competition. Play to your standard. Right. Ryan Day, get control of this one early, then get all of your key guys the hell out of this game as soon as possible. I mean, health coming out of this one is paramount. Obviously, want to see better play from the offensive line. There will be big reason for worry if the offensive line struggles again in this game. We want to see improvement from the left side in particular. Let McCord, just let him rip it in this one. Push the ball downfield. And, of course, we want to see how Trey Henderson bounces back from a subpar performance last week.
I was just going to say that. I don't want the Trey is back narrative from Chad next week.
Hey, count. Man, you know what? We're beyond that. I said I don't give a fuck who the running back is, man. Like, just like whatever. I just think
what could be more interesting than whether he plays well is how do they deploy him? How do they use him? If he comes out and maybe he gets a couple of throws out of the backfield.
I could give two shits if fucking he even gets to the game. If Evan Pryor, get him in the game and throw a ball to him in the backfield there and let him do his shit. I'm cool with that, man.
If everything goes to plan, we're going to see a lot of the second and third teamers in this game. That's exactly what we want to see. All right, fellas, listen, I'm going to assume the concernometer is at 0 for all of us. 0. So let's go right to score predictions. PVH, give me your score prediction.
38-5.
38. Wow. Okay. Wow. You're not seeing an offensive explosion for the Buckeyes.
He dance. You can dance.
38-5.
A pod for another day. Pound the unders right now. We got killed on the overs. I think it's a thing. I'm not quite sure why. 38-5.
I think there's more to the running clock than what I know Doug Maurice had said on his pod. He had mentioned that Ohio State ran about as many plays as their averages last year, but they did have 6 fewer possessions against Indiana than they did the year before.
It matters.
I agree. There are lower scoring games for sure. Chad, how about you? Sorry, go ahead, PVH.
I didn't mean to cut you off. And I didn't realize it sucks. None of us wanted less college football. We just didn't want 4-hour games with 2 hours of commercials.
Yeah.
And they actually somehow managed to fuck this up and give us less college football and more commercials.
I mean, of course, the networks that paid $7 billion over 7 years for the broadcast rights, we knew they were going to get their ads in, right?
they always do, but now we're getting less college football.
I agree.
It sucks.
So what did you guys think about Gary Danielson making the call?
Yeah, hold on a second, CP. We're doing score predictions, my friend. I want to get your score prediction first.
Sorry.
Yeah. What's your score prediction?
Okay, I am going 47-6.
47-6. Okay. Now, I actually didn't, I was at the game, so I didn't really, I watched the replay on YouTube, but, it was the abbreviated 40-minute clip, so I didn't really get to hear the commentary by Danielson. What did you guys think of the CPS broadcast team, CP?
I was actually, I hate Danielson. He's I don't like him, but, I feel like they called a good game. They weren't I felt like they were just going to be total dickheads, because the SEC, CBS, but right. I mean, they're we got to
Danielson's a Big Ten guy, by the way. He played at Purdue.
I know he is. His son, he's
yeah.
I know.
PVH, you have an opinion on the broadcast team for that game?
No, because there were people over and Trisha was here and she screams at every play. It
was her birthday.
Trish, she just it was a 2-yard run. Why are you screaming? That's kind of what she does. And then, Juan's stressing out. So I'm just kind of watching the crowd at my house. And honestly, I cannot remember one discernible thing either one of those two guys said, so I have zero opinion on it.
Okay. All right. Oh, by the way, I forgot to give my prediction. 50-3 Ohio State in this game.
Wow.
50-3.
Look at that.
Yeah, there we go. All right, fellas.
Can I say one thing here real quick?
Sure.
I have Coog's brother is here in my place, and he is an Ohio State graduate.
Nice.
Cool fucking cat, Alan. Westwood, but he is a diehard Notre Dame fan.
Oh boy,
diehard. Now, I give him a little bit of slack because Coog's father, their father, it was one of the biggest Notre Dame fans. I feel like it was Rudy's family,
right?
Rudy the movie. I feel like that whole thing. So we're gonna have to give him on when they get to the Notre Dame game because he's in my place right now, and it's dude, he just runs his mouth about the Irish. Look, you haven't been relevant since '91, man.
All right. Well, we'll consider him as a potential guest picker.
Oh no,
for the TSS.
We're just gonna hate the fuck out of it.
All right. Well, hey, listen, that's a perfect segue because, guys, I want to look at a couple other games happening around the country this week, and why don't we start with number 10 Notre Dame at NC State. Now, this is also a noon Eastern kick on ABC, unfortunately. It's going to be happening at the same time as the Ohio State game. The line is Notre Dame minus 7.5. The over-under is 50.5. Now, NC State is coming off a 2022 season in which they went 8-5. Now, they actually beat Drake May in North Carolina last season, and they lost in the Duke Mayo Bowl 16-12 to Maryland. They returned 10 starters this season. Guys, I think this could be a tricky game for Notre Dame. They got to be careful here, and we've seen them lose games like this before. Now, the Irish and Sam Hartman, they're 2-0. They're feeling good about themselves. The Notre Dame defense has yet to surrender a touchdown. I don't know that Navy or Tennessee State are exactly offensive juggernauts, but, still not yet a lot of touchdown in the Notre Dame defense. Paige, who do you like in this game?
Well, I mean, because you brought it up and we sort of talked about it before we got on air. I'd like NC State. I mean, I hadn't thought about it. I have no idea, but you make a compelling argument. So I like the Wolfpack. I'm rooting for Notre Dame because I want them 4-0 or 5-0 when we play them. But
right.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, they're number 10 right now. That game with Ohio State is shaping up to be a top 10 matchup. Don't blow this, Notre Dame. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we want. And, yeah, dude, they could. You're right. This is the total game that Notre Dame loses.
Yeah.
But Freeman's year 2, right? This is what he did last year. But it'd be interesting. We'll see how he handles it and how they play and how he coaches. But
all right.
Would it be shocking? Hell no.
No, it would not shock me if they lost. Chad, how about you? How do you see this game? Who do you like in this game? Notre Dame, NC State.
Well, you know what? I like the fact that, if I were going to bet, which I don't bet, I haven't bet in quite a few years, but Z, I'd probably ride with you. You're calling for the possible, NC State taking this game, the Wolfpack. What we said earlier, I want Notre Dame to be undefeated when we go into South Bend.
Yeah.
So, that's my opinion on that. I probably won't watch it.
All right. No.
Actually,
So you're picking NC State? You think NC State wins?
I'm gonna roll. I'm gonna roll with you. What's the line again?
Oh yeah, I haven't made a pick yet. Paige is picking Notre Dame.
But didn't you? Were
the line is
earlier. Interesting matchup. Okay.
Oh yeah, for sure. Notre Dame is minus 7.5 in this game. Over under is 50.5. The game is played. This is gonna be at NC State.
They win the game. Notre Dame cover. Or no, they win the game. Notre Dame wins the game. And the Wolfpack covers.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I like Notre Dame in this one. And I think they probably cover. I feel like they finally have the quarterback in Sam Hartman that has enough arm talent for them to, figure out a way to win this game and not stumble before the big matchup with Ohio State. But I think it'll be a good game. I really do. I'm expecting this to be a good game. All right.
What time is it?
It's a noon kick. You're still gonna be asleep, man.
God.
Oh,
no, I'll be on my bicycle. I'll be on my bicycle. That's 3 good games actually.
Yeah, man.
At noon.
Can you just get up extra early on Saturday, man? Just get up extra early, get that out of the way.
Yeah, that means I have to go to bed extra early on Friday.
Can we all have a little quick laugh about one thing?
Yes.
Davo getting his ass beat by Duke.
Oh man, how about that? Oh my God,
dude, that's a podcast.
Dude.
That's
Come
a podcast.
on, it is, dude. That is the good shit. He's like, we won't lose another game. And how about Brian Kelly? Oh, we'll beat the hell out of Florida State.
Yeah, boy.
Dude, Florida State looks good, by the way.
Florida State does look good.
Let's not put them on number one.
They do look pretty damn good. But I mean, LSU and Clemson were both kind of chic picks to make the college football playoff, and boy,
CFP.
Man,
wow,
no room for error for either of those two teams.
Sorry, it's good to be on with you guys. I just thought I'd throw that out because, my love for Dabo is just so.
We had to mention it. Absolutely, yeah. Dabo Swinney and Notre Dame, 2 of your favorites.
Yes.
So one other game I want to look at, and then let's get you guys out of here. Number 11, Texas at number 3, Alabama. This is going to be a fun game. This is a 7 p.m. Eastern kick, much more in your wheelhouse, PVH, on ESPN. The line is Alabama minus 7. The over-under is 54. Now, this was a damn good game in Austin a year ago, boys. Bama escaped by the skin of their teeth, 20-19. Yeah. Remember, Quinn Ewers was knocked out of that game late in the first quarter. He looked good early, but got knocked out at the end of the first quarter. A lot of folks think the Longhorns win it if that doesn't happen. Bama still has the country's most talented roster. They are number 1 in the 24/7 team talent composite. But Bryce Young is gone. Sophomore Jalen Milroe is the new trigger man for Nick Saban. Guys, who do we like in this game? PVH?
We've been talking about waiting for Texas for 20 years. My guess is we'll wait another couple decades. Like, I don't see it. Right?
You don't see
I
it.
want them.
Right.
Actually, that is a true game. Like, you really don't have a horse in the race because you hate them equally. Maybe is the mullet starting? I'm assuming he is.
Yeah, he doesn't have a mullet anymore.
Yeah,
He's a crop top now. Yeah.
Right
As
after
if,
Trey.
dude.
Yeah, he might come back. No, I really want to watch the game. Does it matter to me who wins? Not one bit. Put a gun up. I'll take Alabama every day of the week.
All right, you got Alabama. Do they cover? It's -7 Alabama. Do they cover or no?
Sure.
All right, you got Alabama winning and covering. How about UCP? Who do you like in this game?
Well, actually, you know what? One of my sources got back to me this afternoon and said that there's probably a good chance that Saban's not going to be able to make it back for the sideline because he's filming a new Affleck commercial with Dion and Buffalo. He's trying to get more. He's bringing an elephant in on this one. But so I don't know with him out being on the sideline, but I'll take Texas in this game. I think.
Okay.
They got
Cover
the bet
or straight up?
Oh, I'm going they cover, yeah, because they're.
Well, you got them to cover or to win the game?
They're winning the game, yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, well, Texas wins this game. Yeah, I'll take it both. Put some. I hate cherries, but you can put a cherry on that whipped cream, like right there.
All right,
Paige. He can eat of it.
All right, you're taking Texas. I'm with you, PBH. I don't trust Texas at all. And Alabama's still the most talented team in the country. I think they're a step or two down at quarterback with Milroe. I don't think he has quite the arm talent of the last three guys that have been the quarterback there.
That kid's exciting, though, man.
But he can run the football. Yeah, I think Bama wins. I think they actually. I think they win convincingly. Could even be a blowout. I just don't trust Texas. So
really,
Tide rolls.
Okay.
Tide rolls.
Let's do a part. PVH, let's do a little parlay. Right? This is the Texas, Alabama, and the one we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
The yards.
All right, you guys take that offline.
What that was.
You guys take that offline. Okay, one more thing before we wrap it up. PVH, you got some thoughts on Coach Prime. He's right there in your backyard.
Dude, this is the game. This is, I mean, Colorado can't shut up about it. And you sent that press conference. The fact that your lovely wife listened to it made me
captivating, man.
Because I would have never done that before. And he is intriguing.
Yeah.
My only concern is the letdown factor in this one.
They're only a 3-point favorite. Colorado is against Nebraska.
Wow.
This game is in Boulder. Line is -3. The over/under is 59.
So, by the way, like last year, you could have gone to a CU game, like the Oakland A's, right? They give you popcorn. The concession stands are wide open. The bathrooms are accessible, and it costs you $13. I looked online, like a decent seat is like $900. So the fever pitch is through the roof.
Do you think you'll go to a game this year? Are you going to go to a Colorado game at any point this year?
Yeah, totally, dude. Yeah. It's a beautiful, like IU. It is a phenomenal place to go watch a game.
Right.
My only concern, and I want them to win, but like, man, that letdown factor is real.
I think that's real.
Dude,
yeah.
They've got some players. So
Shedeur Sanders, man, threw for 510 yards last week at TCU and 4 touchdowns.
Hunter,
he completed 81% of his passes in that game. My God.
Yeah. So I'm going to roll with Coach Prime, but they definitely have to be on the letdown, Yeah,
they got to be careful. Yeah, that line is interesting. Only -3. I think Nebraska has a pretty good defense. How about UCP? You got an opinion on this game?
I got a big opinion on this game. Take Nebraska. They're going to win this game. Seriously, it's everybody. That's who Deion Sanders is, man. He's like prime time. He's the motor dude. Like, it's a blowhard shit. Like his son coming out going, like, the difference between FBS and FCS? Coming up, like, dude, come on, man. Like, you beat an overrated TCU team. Like, it's all good. I love that you can get all these kids motivated. You brought 85 kids from the transfer portal, and
Oh, we have a non-believer in our midst. PVH.
We'll take it offline and we'll gamble on this.
But no, it's all good. But primetime needs to.
Sloaner, the gambling savant. Sloaner and I pounded the CU money line last week. So minus 800. So call me, Chad, when you're ready to place a bet.
Hey, that's great, dude. That's great. But like, there's still, when their win over under is only like, still, it started out at 3.5. Now it's at like 4 or 4.
Well,
come on, go get him, guys. Go get him, Buffs.
I will say this. He's good for college football.
I agree.
Love it, dude. I love that. It's like, right.
For them to be relevant. And
yeah, exactly.
It's a good storyline.
Absolutely.
So
I like the gold.
I agree.
Like the gold mirrored sunglasses on the sidelines.
I love it, man. I love all that. He's breaking the conventions. He's breaking the conventions. Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I don't really have a big opinion on this game. PVH, I think you make a really good point because Colorado was just euphoric after that game. And as much as I love, Prime, you are still coaching 18 to 21-year-old kids. And, the tenor of in the locker room after that game was like they won the Big 12. Or sorry, the Pac-12. It'll be Big 12 next year, Pac-12 this year. And you still have 11 more to go, right? So I agree with you. The letdown factor is a big concern. It'll be interesting to see how Sanders navigates that. But I'll definitely – this is another 9 a.m. kick, man.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Dude, you got to get that bike ride out of the way, man. And
I know, and I will get the bike ride out of the way, but it's kind of funny to me that the CU has taken over the mantle. Like, I can't win from Ohio State from the fucking
It's 11 a.m. your time, right? Sorry. So,
I know, but
yeah.
But what do you got to do to like get your head out of your ass to understand play these games?
That's never going to happen, man. It's never going to happen. You're shouting into the wind, my friend. There's always going to be
thoughts by Paige.
All right, boys. Hey, listen, man. I'm starving. I got to go. Thanks so much for making the time. We will reconvene later next week to review the YSU game and some of these other games that we've talked about. Until then, thanks so much for listening, everyone, and go Bucks. You've been listening to the South Stands, a Buckeye football podcast. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and visit our website at southstandsosu.com.